The pain began as a quiet whisper, a strange tightening deep inside me, the kind that makes you pause and listen to your own body. I sat in the passenger seat of the car outside the hospital, my hands resting on my swollen belly, telling myself not to panic. My husband had gone inside just for a moment, or so he said. That moment stretched into silence. Hours earlier, he had packed his bag calmly. His parents were leaving for a short trip, and he didn't want to disappoint them. I remember standing in the doorway, my heart heavy, telling him I felt something wasn't right. I begged him to stay. He smiled, tired and dismissive, and said I worried too much. "You're strong," he said. "Nothing will happen." Now, something was happening. Another wave of pain crashed through me, sharper this time. I tried calling him again, straight to voicemail. My breathing grew uneven as fear wrapped around my chest. The parking lot lights flickered above me, cold and uncaring. I was surrounded by buildings full of doctors and nurses, yet I had never felt more alone. The pain became unbearable. My body moved without permission, driven by instinct and terror. Tears streamed down my face as I realized the truth. I was going to give birth alone, in a locked car, while the man who promised to protect me was somewhere far away, laughing, traveling, choosing comfort over responsibility. I screamed his name until my throat burned, but only the empty night answered back. The baby came with agony I cannot fully describe. I bit my sleeve to muffle my cries, my whole body shaking, my heart breaking with every push. Blood stained the seat beneath me. My hands trembled as I pulled my baby close, whispering apologies through sobs. "I'm here." I told my child, even though no one had been there for me. When my baby finally cried, a thin, fragile sound filled the car. That cry shattered me. It was proof of life, but also proof of abandonment. I held my newborn against my chest, tears falling onto that tiny face, promising a love so fierce it would make up for everything we had lost that night. As dawn approached, I sat there, exhausted and broken, watching the sky slowly change color. Somewhere in the distance, my husband was returning, unaware that while he was gone, I had changed forever. That night didn't just give me a child, it took something from me that I would never get back. Morning light crept into the hospital room like it didn't belong there. It touched the white walls softly, almost kindly, as if trying to erase the darkness of the night before. I lay in the narrow bed, my body aching in places I didn't know could hurt, my newborn sleeping against my chest. Every breath felt heavy, but I stayed awake, afraid that if I closed my eyes, I would relive the night all over again. The door finally opened. My husband walked in slowly, his face pale with shock, his clothes still neat, his hair untouched by chaos. Behind him stood his parents, quiet and distant, as though they were visitors to a stranger's tragedy. He looked at me, then at the baby, and then at the dried blood still visible on my hands. His mouth opened, but no words came out. I didn't know. He finally said, those two words cut deeper than the pain in my body. He didn't know because he didn't stay, because he didn't listen, because he chose to leave. I waited for him to apologize, to break down, to hold me and say he was sorry for abandoning us. Instead, he started explaining. Traffic was bad. His phone battery died. Things got delayed. Excuses fell from his lips one by one, light and careless, as if they could undo what had already happened. His mother placed a hand on his shoulder. "What matters is that everything is fine now," she said. "Fine." I looked at my baby's tiny fingers, still curled, still learning the world. Fine did not describe the fear, the blood, the loneliness. Fine did not describe screaming into fabric so no one would hear me suffer. Fine did not describe becoming a mother without a single hand to hold. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. Something inside me grew quiet and still. The woman who had begged the night before was gone. In her place sat someone new, someone watching, learning, remembering. The nurses came and went. Papers were signed. Smiles were forced for photos. My husband sat beside the bed, holding the baby like a trophy, telling everyone how strong I was. I wondered if he knew strength was never meant to be used as an excuse for abandonment. That night, as he slept peacefully in the chair beside my bed, I stared at the ceiling and understood something clearly for the first time. Love doesn't always end with shouting. Sometimes it ends with silence. And in that silence, I began to change. Time moved forward, even though a part of me stayed frozen in that parking lot. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. My body healed slowly, but my heart healed in a different way, carefully, silently, without anyone noticing. The scar from that night remained, not on my skin, but somewhere deeper, where trust used to live. I became efficient, calm, invisible. I learned how to care for my baby without asking for help. I memorized feeding schedules, lullabies, and the soft sounds that meant comfort or hunger. At night, while my husband slept easily, I stayed awake, rocking our child, watching the shadows move across the walls. In those quiet hours, I thought not about pain, but about survival. My husband noticed I spoke less. He assumed motherhood had made me tired. He never realized I had simply stopped explaining myself. I no longer told him when I felt overwhelmed. I no longer asked where he was going or when he would return. I had already learned how little those questions mattered. Instead, I turned inward. I picked up old dreams I had once abandoned for marriage. I studied late at night, my laptop glowing softly beside the crib. I learned skills that made me feel capable again. Each small achievement felt like stitching myself back together, thread by thread. There were moments when he tried to be affectionate, moments when guilt flickered across his face. He would bring small gifts, speak kindly, tell people I was an amazing mother. I accepted everything politely, without emotion. He mistook my calm for forgiveness, but forgiveness requires acknowledgement. And acknowledgement never came. As months passed, my independence grew. I saved money quietly. I planned carefully. I imagined a future where my child would never watch their mother beg to be chosen. That thought alone fueled me on nights when exhaustion threatened to pull me under. One evening, my husband said, half joking, "You don't need me anymore, do you?" I smiled softly and said nothing, because the truth was too powerful to say out loud. I had already survived childbirth alone. I had already learned how to breathe through unbearable pain without support. Compared to that, rebuilding my life felt possible. I wasn't becoming cold. I was becoming free, and while he slept peacefully beside me, unaware of the distance growing between us, I understood something with perfect clarity. The strongest revenge doesn't announce itself. It prepares quietly, and I was almost ready. The day I asked for a divorce was ordinary. No shouting, no broken objects. The sky outside was pale and calm, as if the world had already accepted what I was about to say. I served him tea the way I always did, my hands steady, my voice gentle. He sensed nothing. He never did. "I want to talk," I said. He laughed lightly, expecting another harmless conversation. When I placed the papers on the table, his smile faded slowly, like a light being turned off. He stared at them for a long time, as if they might disappear if he refused to look closely. "I don't understand," he whispered. "When did this happen?" I looked at him and saw a stranger, someone who had shared my bed but never truly shared my burden. "It happened the night I gave birth alone," I replied. My voice didn't shake. I had already cried enough tears for a lifetime. He tried to defend himself. He said he was sorry now. He said he never meant to hurt me. His parents called later, asking me to think again to keep the family together. I listened quietly and thanked them for their concern. I owed no one explanations anymore. The truth was simple. I had forgiven myself for staying silent for so long. I had forgiven my weakness, but I could not forgive abandonment disguised as love. Leaving wasn't easy. It never is when you have built a life with someone, but staying would have meant teaching my child that being chosen was optional. And I refused to pass that lesson on. My new life began quietly, a smaller home, fewer people, more peace. My child laughed more. I smiled without forcing it. I slept without fear of being left behind again. Strength settled into me like something that had always been waiting. Sometimes I heard about him, how regret followed him everywhere, how he looked tired, how he talked about what he lost. He saw photos of us, me and my child, standing strong, whole, and undeniably happy. I never blocked him from watching, because this was my revenge, not anger, not punishment, but a life rebuilt so beautifully that he finally understood the cost of leaving. I was no longer the woman crying alone in a car. I was the woman who survived, healed, and walked away, with grace, with love, and with everything that truly mattered.